Exactly 5 years ago today, I released my first video on this channel. I have not physically, mentally, or emotionally recovered since. In order to commemorate this momentous occasion and answer some questions that have been levied my way, I'm going to give you a look behind the curtain and show you what it takes to make my videos. Now, if you are one of the very few people that are subbed to me on Patreon, you may have already gotten a little bit of a look behind the scenes and have immediately seen that this is a little different than that. The reason why I'm making this video is because, one, the ones that I post on Patreon are a little boring as they are literally directly in the field. This is more spiced up and will go into a little bit more details. Two, this can serve as an enticing thing for people who want to sub to my Patreon. If you want to see those boring versions, plus a lot of other interesting content, feel free to give at least $1 here. Three, for those of you who cannot pay for a Patreon, not even like $1 1 month at one point, you'll get a little bit of a something to show you the process. 4, if you're a person who's watching this, or have watched any other left-wing content creator, this can serve as a how-to guide to help up-and-comers, because unlike the big names, I actually want to help up-and-comers in this field. 5, to commemorate the 5 years of this channel, and 6, just to have a little bit of fun. Alright, so without further ado, how to become a famous left-wing creator. Oh wait, I'd have to actually be famous to even give that kind of advice. So I guess this will just be how to make left-wing videos. Alright, so for starters, I should let you know, there are in fact quite a number of different types of content you can make in the LeftTube sphere. But I think a majority of it is divided into 2 types of content. Prepared content, whether it be video essays, media critiques, news/punditry, or unprepared content, i.e. streaming. I use the air quotes in unprepared because to a degree there is a form of preparation, but it's a little different. And to a degree, things that are quote-unquote prepared can have elements of unprepared content. I should say that this video will be a lot more helpful in the former crowd because this is literally my content. I guess technically the closest thing you can call my content is video essays. I've never really called myself that per se, because I can actually produce them consistently. But if you're going to try and make content in the latter crowd, this video could still be useful. The first thing that is important is focus. What is your channel going to be about? What type of content do you want to make? Not just in the sense of, oh, I want to produce these highly edited videos or I want to do streaming, because that's not content. That's a medium for your content. What's going to be the meat and potatoes of what you're going to put out? You should have that focus, but also not stringently rely on that focus. Because for various reasons, you might not want to make that particular type of content in 5 or so years. The best way to think of it is to create a tagline for your channel, something that if somebody asks you, what is your channel, you can just say in a snap. It's also helpful to try and set you apart from everybody else, because you're trying to tailor that one specifically for you. To use myself as an example, here's the tagline for my channel: focus on the minor parties because the mainstream media forgot to do so. It is something that I sought out to do, but it's also something that I didn't limit myself to. I allowed other stuff to expand and become part of the brand. Some examples you could use are focusing on a particular region of the world that nobody else talks about, or focus on a particular element of your politics. Or, one that is very common to do, is give perspectives based on your lived experiences as a minority, and not just a minority to the world. Maybe you're a minority within the left, like a Christian leftist. Next up, branding. As anti-capitalists, you would think that this isn't important, but in fact it is. When you are registering your YouTube channel name, you need to be 100% sure you are okay with people calling you that for the rest of your online career, because unlike the tagline for your channel, this isn't malleable. The second you start growing an audience, that name is yours forever. Unless you change your username right before you get really big, you're going to be stuck with whatever you call yourself for the rest of your life. Also, because if you really want to change your username, you're going to have to go back through all of your online history, change your usernames and ats and whatevers. It's going to be too much of a hassle, especially if you want to be a faceless creator. If you don't have a face and real name to that channel, then this username really is who you are online. I guarantee you, if I ever make it big, I'm going to be referred to by other creators as I recommend getting all of this stuff sorted before you even make your first video. And I recommend avoiding these 3 things. 1. Using the name of a prominent political figure. You are not that figure, and you do not agree with that figure 100% of the time. So inevitably, when there is a disagreement between you and that figure, you are going to be held to 10 times more scrutiny than if you were simply a random username that just said you admired that figure. And I would avoid using the name of an ideology that has the name of a figure. Even if that is your ideology, that is also malleable. 2. Using a copyrighted character. Aside from potential legal troubles you might face, it might make you look less original than coming up with branding of your own. And 3. Avoid the word comrade. The term is literally supposed to describe everybody, so trying to make it part of your own personal branding is a dumb idea. Alright, so at this point, you should already have your channel and stuff ready to go. So, how do you actually make videos? Here's what you're gonna need. Something to edit and post your videos. Now, majority of us are going to be using a computer, but since a lot of websites are now trying to emulate and try to replace TikTok with new short video features, you could literally just use your phone and camera for everything. But since I'm not adept in that kind of content, we'll be going back to the ones you need a computer for. A computer's not the only piece of hardware you need. You'll also need a microphone. I currently use a Blue Yeti mic. It is the cheapest professional microphone you can get. And if you are not afraid with being on camera, by all means, get a camera. It can be the webcam in your computer, you can use your phone, or if you're daring, get an actual camera. I only add that caveat because I know a lot of the smaller creators might be afraid of looking cheaper than the larger creators with their 4K cameras and their $1,000 microphones, but I assure you, as long as they can hear you, you are 100% okay. Using myself as an example again, there was a long period of time where my videos were 480p, but I never once got a complaint that my video looked bad. I only got complaints when my videos sounded bad. But without software, the hardware would just be pieces of metal. The 3 must-haves are an app to edit your pictures. I use Photoshop CS6. Good for thumbnails, but also if you need to edit pictures for videos. Photoshop isn't the only one, but I see most people relying on it as it is the best, I guess. I'm going on the assumption that price is an issue, which is why I didn't suggest using the most recent version of Photoshop. Next, something to record your audio. I use Audacity. It's free and fairly simple to use. And lastly, something to put it all together. I use OpenShot. It's free and has a quick learning curve, as I used to use the pre-installed software on my computer, hence the whole 480p thing, but after I had to stop using it, this one was the best alternative. Whatever software you get, I recommend at one point or another, just start playing with what you can do. I recommend doing it to all 3, but in a way that you can make sure that you don't screw it up. I do have other programs, but I only use them for added spice to make my channel more unique. The only one of them that I will mention that you might need is OBS, as that is useful for streaming and screen recording. Alright, so now you're all set up. Now it's time to actually make a video. First, we write the script about what we need. It can be notes for a podcast or something more in depth. I've seen people suggest ways to improve your writing, but honestly, unless you're writing a script for someone else to read or are trying to write articles, you don't really have to do anything special. As long as you understand what you're writing, I think you're good. And as you write more, you'll end up getting better. To use myself as an example again, here's a script from my first video. Lot of color, bolded, italicized stuff that wasn't needed, but I personally wanted to add a little bit of oomph. Here is a script for my more recent video. Only text effect that I kept was italicization, as it denotes direct quotes that I have to put an effect on. Here is the script for the Communist Party video. There's a little bit of color still there. Here's one for a shorter video that I made at the beginning of the year. A simple block of text. But since I can understand what I want to say and how I want to say it, I don't really need to add much else. If you do intend to try and make it so that other people read it, maybe you can add like stage directions or how you want them to say words or whatever else. Now we got the words on the paper. Now it's time to make the words into sound, as I'm doing right now. Ooh. Most people choose to record it all and then take the best takes from the recording, but I personally like to delete the bad takes as I go. Though if that were true, I would just do this and be done. I personally say be okay with going off script, because the way you have worded it in your script might be completely wrong, and then you say it in a more natural way. Or maybe you have a thing that might be interesting or funny that might spice up your video. After that is done, feel free to add some audio effects while you're still in Audacity, or clean it up however you see fit. Now we export and move on to the final part. Editing. I personally add the audio first to get the timeline going. If there are clips or something that I need to put in the video, I splice the audio up and give them room to be. I add the background, and, well, I get to adding the pictures, clips, sound effects, whatever else I need to add. Not to cop out again, but I personally think you need to find your own style. It's okay to borrow elements from other creators, but you need to develop it in your own unique way. Like, for example, my way of doing it means that I don't use background music or stock ground footage, as I don't think it fits with the kind of content that I make. But somebody might be watching my content and then go, background music and stock footage would greatly improve your stuff. Then go ahead, make it yourself. I don't think it fits the EPU style, but it might fit the UUU style. While we are here, I should say this. Never, ever, ever edit with headphones in. Ever. Especially if you have earbuds. Unless you have literally the highest quality headphones that film editors use, it is better to hear how they come out through a computer speaker, as computer speakers are probably going to be what a majority of your audience hears them through. Every other type of audio output is secondary to a computer speaker. Once you think it looks good in the software, export it. Make sure to watch it one more time after exporting, because you might have missed an error that you didn't see beforehand. Maybe the cropping of the video looks a little weird. Maybe a sound glitch is here and there. Maybe the color's off. Go back, export, rewatch. Then, when it's all set and done, upload. Great, the video is now uploaded. What's that? Nobody's watching? Well, sad to say, those first couple of videos you make, they're gonna teeter on the single and double digits. You're not gonna upload a video tomorrow and then wake up to become Hassan's best friend. But I guess you are wondering, how do you get this to grow, at the very least to get triple digit views? Well, not to cop out again, but it can be really difficult. And one of the big things that a lot of smaller creators will choose to do to try and become big is to essentially become a mini version of one of the bigger names in the field in a vain attempt to try and get noticed. You might think, oh, I'm gonna spam a creator to see if they'll respond or look at my video. Or I'm gonna make a very incendiary video of a big name creator that I know responds to critiques. Then I'm gonna build my brand on being anti that creator. And unfortunately, none of these ways make you look that good. Now, I know a lot of people are going to thrive on that kind of attention, but if you don't want to thrive on that type of attention, the best advice I can give is tag your video properly. Tags are really good to get your video noticed, especially if you're covering something topical. I also would recommend using hashtags, because as the new YouTube Shorts feature is becoming a big thing, Now people are clicking hashtags and finding videos that way. And 2, don't be afraid to find other content creators and try to network. While it may be tempting to stick with people who are only similar to you, don't be afraid to reach out to people who are different than you as well. Collaborate, share each other's works. It's the best way for smaller channels to grow. Build the solidarity that the leftists keep claiming they want. I should warn you, however, be aware of toxicity that can come out of this. Groupthink, drama, manipulating newer members, etc. But if that worries you, I would highly advise to choose a different career path. And hopefully the final product you made actually looks good. Oh yeah, and for those of you who are wondering, no, this wasn't just like fake editing that I made for this video. I literally showed you the editing process of making the video that will come out tomorrow. The celebration ain't over yet.